Welcome back, YouTube. This is Shrine King, and as promised, I'm going to get into a introduction guide for World of Tanks. So, as you'll see here, I'm going to be showing a lot of replay videos in the background. I'm going to try to cover point to like what you're really looking to do here and key things to note as you're starting out. Hopefully this will in turn give you guys better performance than your matches so that you will actually see higher experience gains and so on and so forth, making those introduction tiers a lot quicker for you in the long run. Now, when you're picking tanks or playing tanks, you need to kind of note which tanks you're playing and what are the benefits of those tanks or maybe strong points of those tanks. So in this case, I'm playing a medium, but this medium particularly has some accuracy with its gun that in relation to other things is not, or other tanks, it's not, they're not necessarily as accurate. So because I'm a medium, I'm more like trying to look to do like flanking opportunities or maybe find defensive positions that I can try to assist as my team does pushing. So in some matches, it's good to push with your team. Typically, the heavy units are the ones that are typically pushing. So you'll see here I have my team members pushing up on the east, and I see team members are pushing up going to the north, where the enemy's objective point is. Now, I just position in a spot to try to assist overall because I do have decent accuracy of the gun. And this is definitely a tactic that you could use, especially when starting out, because by not being all into the push and everything like that, you don't have to necessarily rely on your team members all basically performing, which in these tiers it could be pretty rough. Like they might not necessarily perform that great. It might just be that they just don't know the game. They might just be starting the game. Maybe they just don't really care and they're just like, you know what, I just want to go and do something. So a tactic like this where you have a map that is well set up for this, so like you'll see essentially there's a lot of across the ravine type firing on this map, so having people sitting back is really kind of key. Now if you notice no one is pushing on a certain flank, you might want to try to either get a couple people to come with you, or even just try to set up defensively to watch that flank, but you have to bear in mind that once someone's spotted, the radio distance is usually farther. So that means there's a lot more people that can usually shoot at you that don't necessarily need to see you. So if you're the only one spotting for your team, you got to bear in mind, unless your team is going to help you, their team will most likely have multiple people that can shoot at you even more than what you actually see. So World of Tanks did bring this map back recently, and this is the case of what you're seeing. So now, while this is going on, as I said, like you'll see here, I'm just showing a video to kind of show what it is that I was doing. And you'll see here, like I said, this gun's pretty accurate, and you'll see it does miss a bit, because that's like at these tiers. This is about as accurate as you really get, besides some tank destroyers who will have a little bit better accuracy. So it's not intended that you're going to hit on target all the time. It is kind of frustrating too, because as you can see here, I fired numerous times and I'm just not really getting the target. I maybe hit him once or twice, and then even then he blocked it. And again, watch it here, like it's like, man, here's all these targets. Look at that, just went into the dirt. Another target. Okay, come on, keep going. Awesome. I actually finally got him, but I only got to do 11 damage. Now, while it's good to get kills, damage itself is typically better in my opinion. So one, you do get good money or in-game currency and experience from the overall damage that you do. When the game tries to rate you on how good you've done, it typically is based on your damage output. Now kills obviously does get you a experience boost and even a pay boost and all that kind of stuff, which that's good. It's very good. So personally, I focus on damage output. I do also go for kills typically in the scenario where it's like we just really need to drop the gun count. And what I mean by that is if you see, for example, someone is fighting 3 versus 2, and one target has got barely any hit points, while the two other ones are pretty much at full. While you would typically hit the full ones to get the damage for the overall, you want to make sure to knock that gun out just to get that situation down to the same gun count. So you want to do 2 on 2. And in the same sense that now that once you get it to 2 on 2, you want to try to break it down to where it's going to be 1 on 2 if possible, or it might even come into 1 on 1, right, as damage is going. But again, if you're new to here or new to this game, a lot of this, it comes to patience. So you'll see here, I am very patient. I am not trying to just rush out there. I notice, hey, they're kind of sitting there. I see, oh, they're taking a lot of damage. They might die. But that doesn't make it to where I'm like, oh, I have to run out there to go do something. I currently have decent damage, and I've got 3 kills so far, which is all good. It's very good. So in here, patiently waiting, bam, I got a target out in the open. Now I got to do some damage there, and I got to kill him. And then here, I see this guy going across, and whoops, I don't want to shoot my teammate. Oh, missed again. Oh, look, he's rocking. Oh, and missed again. So this is where I'm saying, like, the accuracy, like, yeah, it's great, but, I mean, from that kind of distance, it can be frustrating. I mean, look at this. That was 4 shots I've missed altogether. So now, here you'll just see, like I said, this is just an example to show what a match could go and how it would be good. Because like this will get you some good experience and everything like that. Now, as I mentioned before, though, you got to pay attention to like what kind of tanks you're playing. So if you're in a heavy, typically heavies are expected to really push a line, or at least get into the front of a line. Now, battlefronts, or where engagements are going to occur, differ map to map. In this case, you can see that the map is really split vertically, but strangely enough, the battlefront is from one side to the next. And that's what's kind of weird. So usually you have a full line of people going vertically, shooting across the map to the other side, even though both objectives, you can see there's top and bottom. You would think if you split that evenly from one side to the next, it actually should be right in the middle horizontally, and it's not. This is something particular with this map. If you are playing on this map, I highly recommend that you do not try rushing to the flag and then just sit in the flag. It is something that you probably want to go to or go after later. But if you go rushing for that flag, usually the issue is, 1, you'll get spotted. Typically you're continuously spotted. And 3, everybody from the side or from the battlefront will actually be shooting at you. So typically your survival rate's really low if you do that. Now, as a heavy, like I said, you would probably push up. You want to try to be defensive, and I'm going to make videos highlighted on basically particular styles. So like what really works well as a medium, what really works well as a scout, what really works well as a heavy, what really works well for tank destroyers, and then also getting into criteria like that to help explain the strategies behind them that actually makes them effective or efficient. So for this, like I said, this is an intro. So this is just stuff to show you, because like usually at the lower tiers, when this is getting started, it can be a real mess, and it could turn out pretty bad for you. And that does happen, by the way, because it is a mess, because I mean you just might really not have the cards stacked in your favor due to the teams all maybe your team has no real knowledge while the other team has a lot of senior knowledge, so then they just get Ricky rolled. It happens, and it is frustrating. It can be very agitating, and I tried having a video to help show that. Sadly, I seem to have misplaced it, funny enough. So what I would say is, in the event that you run into something like that and your team is just falling apart, don't get upset. I mean, I know it can be upsetting. Just focus on you. Focus on what you got to do. Now, obviously, starting out, you want to take a look at your team and try to pay attention to the team and work with your team. But in the event that it turns out that your team is just not going to work with anyone, and they're just not really keeping up, or just falling apart, The real goal there is now just identify what to do for yourself. Try to get some kind of experience, and that means do some damage, get some kills. Don't get pissed off and go drown yourself in the river or into the lake. Believe me, it happens. People do it, and it's really a shame, honestly. It doesn't really do them any benefit. To them, they're like, "Ha! Take that, enemy, a winning team that's already got all this experience and damage and everything else. You're not gonna get me." It's like, yeah, look, I get it, but at the same time, you didn't do anything. You didn't make anything. But I get like, hey, yeah, it could be upsetting. So I mean, if that's really like what you like to do, that's what you like to do. In the event of the case of a situation occurring like that, like I said, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go rushing at the enemy like I'm at least gonna I'm gonna show you guys, because usually if you're charging, if you're the one moving, you're actually easier to spot, which means now all you're doing is making it easier for them to actually kill you. And that just all that does is kind of the same thing as going to drown. You're just giving overall benefit or overall loss to nothing, right? Or either yourself or them. So what I would recommend is get into a position where they probably won't be able to get really good shots on you, and be prepared, right? So like, hey, like kind of like this case where you see them using the hill. If someone actually was on the far right, yeah, they can come get me. If someone was going to come around to the left side, they'd have a pretty long way, but they can come get me. But in the event that someone was coming right there, which maybe I know that the enemy team's probably going to come right at me, that way I can get some shots with barely having any exposure myself. Also, I will probably spot them before they spot me because they're the ones charging. Kind of like this guy right here. So he just went and charged. I saw him. Boom. Shot him. Now I shot this guy. And there's things that, like, when you're in the engagement, like here, I mean, my team's doing really well, but I'm not actually going to get to do much. So here I'm just like, alright, well, I know that they're here. We need someone to kind of fight here or at least go spot. So that's what I went. So this is an event of where I was just watching the map. I was paying attention to what's going on, being patient, and then realize, hey, okay, there's a potential gain here if we can actually get eyes in the middle, which is where they were having a foothold on. So now we've taken middle, and I'm actually moving up to the flag. Now, just as a precursor, I have no intention to go rush the flag. By rushing the flag, I would just get myself killed. There's no way around that. There's too many enemies still left. And most enemies will still be kind of defensive, which I could still see the tanks that are close to the flag. So I know, like, hey, yeah, they still got people watching. So here again, like, I'm like, yep, I'm gonna use this little hill, kind of to my advantage. I see that there's people over here. All right, cool. Kind of creep up a bit, and I'm like, well, I also have binocs, which I do recommend if you can get them, please do. They do help a lot in the lower tiers because that way you extend your vision where you don't really have a lot of vision as is. And you'll see here, I actually used those binocs, and I did not spot the guy who just shot me. Now here's a perfect case where you'd be like, what? How did this happen? Oh, I'm so angry. It's bull crap. This guy should not have been able to see me. Well, honestly, the truth is, he probably had a higher crew than I. I'm sitting at like a 70% crew or 78% crew. He probably had 100%. He might have even had binocs. He might even have camo installed. So there's a good chance that, yeah, no, he spotted me because I started moving, and then all of a sudden I started getting shot. So he probably spotted me, and I couldn't spot him. It very well happens that way. It's part of the mechanics to the game. So again, when that happens, I mean, it just is what it is. Okay, great. Yeah, that guy just put more time in, and that's what he's got. But bear in mind, everyone at 100% is 100%. So that comes to that. So then it's going into skills. So not typically something you'll see happen like that very often, but it does happen, and I wouldn't get too aggressive or angry about it. Now, one thing I want to talk about is, like I was saying, trying to get the experience that you can in the event that you are losing or you are going to lose. So if that becomes very obvious, and like I said, you kind of use your positioning, pay attention to like the map, where the enemy was, where they're going, maybe where they were fighting a lot, right? And who was fighting over there. If you can identify that, right, you might know who is really coming at you that will be maybe weak. And the reason being is, like, yes, you typically want to do damage, but you also want to get those kills because we're talking about just experience and money gains, not necessarily your rating. If you're looking at just making sure that you can try to balance your rating as much as possible, then I would probably aim just at those that you can damage. But again, like I said, You also want to kind of pay attention to gun count. Removing a gun off the field helps you, no matter what, whether it's your team, whether it's you, really doesn't matter. So in the event, like let's say they were all charging me, and it's the end of the game, and there's no way I'm probably going to win. And the first guy comes across, well, he's the first guy I see, I'm going to plug him, I'm going to shoot him. But let's say he was at full health, right? And I dropped him down to 75%. And you know, all I got to do is put 4 more shots into him and I kill him, right? Or 3 more shots and I'll kill him. But hey, number 2 comes across and turns out he's actually at 20% and is a one-shot kill for me. He's actually my primary target. I'm going to kill him because not only will I do the damage, but I'll also get a kill plus the damage I already did. Now, of course, this means guy number 1 is probably still beating up on me, and then I got to deal with guy number 3 coming across, and turns out guy number 3 is at 50%. Well, you know what? In the event of luck, maybe I'll go ahead and shoot guy number 3. Guy number 1 is probably still going to hit me. Guy number 3 is going to hit me. I'm probably either close to dead or going to die. But in the event I can actually get another shot out, I might kill guy number 3, which means now not only did I do all that damage, but I killed 2 people before dying. Now, in the sense of, okay, well, I did that. I still lost. I'm not going to get the extra experience for our loss, or for a win. But I do get experience for the damage did and the kills, which helps me continue on my progress through the tank and even get out of the tank. So that's why I mean, like, just when that stuff's coming up, just kind of focus on you. Just go with it, right? Like, okay, just do what you can to salvage the current situation at hand. And here, like, again, like, you'll see, I didn't go rushing the enemy team. I'm just sitting here chilling, just kind of watching what's going on. And you'll see, like, if you look at my team, it looks like a lot of people did go rush. They either went north or they went east. I have couple people, like just 2 or 3 of us that are actually hanging back and trying to watch. This is the aspect of trying to support a team, right? Being ready to support. If everybody goes rushing one side, you got to bear in mind that's a lot of guns, all in view range, right? But when you think, well, hey, if I have 12 guns, obviously against the 5, I'm going to win. What you don't realize is that typically with the 12 guns rushing in the same way, they're all in the same line, same path, right? And line of fire does not work that way. You have to get line of fire for everything, which means everybody would have to stagger. Everyone would have to be a little exposed one way or another to get all 12 guns lined up properly to be able to shoot at the 5 guns that you're aiming at. So what ends up happening is those 5 guns have a target-rich environment, right, with a lot of easy choices to pick on who to shoot, when to shoot, whereas your 12 now constantly struggle with each other, trying to figure out, hey, is he going to fire? Is he going to roll forward? Did he roll forward in front of my shot? Is he trying to back up and ends up backing up into me, pushing me away from even seeing or being able to do my shot? So when you're playing, and see, you'll see here, I'm in a losing situation. I saw my team lost the north, and I'm like, well, I'm going to try to see if I can't spot, and I can't seem to spot them. So I'm like, all right, well, there's not too much I can do there. What I could do is try to back up a bit, you know, maybe get away from them, let them come around. So like I'm looking at my minimap. I'm saying, what is my team actually doing? All right, I see some of them are still in that middle spot. I see others seem to be pushing towards the flag. So in this event, I'm like, well, if I can get them to come around this bend, around this hill, they technically might be in view range. Now, sadly, my team is not doing the same thing, right? So I'm watching on the minimap there in the corner. My team member that was in the middle, had line of sight, is actually moving north to the other people that are like in the northern middle that are not in line of sight. Now, funny enough, there's a tank destroyer guy. He's really good. I mean, he's doing the right things. He's really trying, and it's a great choice. But here, I didn't want to leave him alone, so I'm like, yep, I'm doing what I can, fighting, backing up. So I'm hitting, backing up. This P2, for whatever reason, it looks like he's shooting me without really being able to see me. But hey, that happens. It's all about elevation depressions, right? So here, I'm like, all right, nothing I can do for that guy. I lost it. But here, I'm like, all right, let me back up. I'll try and get them to kind of come out in the open field to get exposed, and I'm doing what I can. So again, I'm losing. I ain't gonna win. I'm not gonna even survive. But my team might actually win, which is good. But here I'm just using everything I can to pump out as much damage as I can. And then there was a case where, hey, I saw the other guy. He actually had low health. I should have actually probably aimed for him, and if I did, I probably would have killed him, but I would still have died, right? So here it's a case where I did good damage, at least as best as I could. I got good amount of kills. I have other team members who are over here fighting. There's only 3 enemy left, right? And then there's a bunch of my team. Now, is it because my team did an amazing job? No, they pushed really heavy on one flank, and they did get it. But because of those members that were on the other flank, because of, honestly, the 3 people, which was the guy who really started it, that tank destroyer that was there with me, and me myself, we really brought that in, because for them to make that push, where it was, I think it was like 6 or 7 of them against 3 of us. Out of the 3 of us, we actually took 4 or 5 of them out. So that really crippled that push. So now they're stuck in a bad situation trying to stop or trying to win that match. And in that case, they did not win that match. So that's a case where, hey, all right, it really wasn't going in my favor. It didn't really seem smart of my team to do what they did, but you know what? Again, I just focused on myself and decided, hey, I'm gonna try to get what I can. So here's another case. So here I see this tank destroyer. He's not really paying attention to me, but hey, okay, you know what? I get it. He wants that bush. Cool. I'll go ahead and flex. It's not really the bush I want to be in, but it works. And again, so I'm just here trying to support my team. I am kind of like on the front a bit here, and you'll see again I have the binocs where it extended my vision, so I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to sit. I'm going to chill. I'm going to relax. I don't need to try pushing. I don't even need to try to shoot this guy that suddenly appeared, right? I'm like, ooh, look, I spotted someone because he did come through and he did start shooting. Now in the event, I only saw him, right? I'm like, well, I can take a shot. And I saw this other guy come now rushing, so I know I have to be in sight, right? That close, there's no way they don't see me. So I backing off. Knew I was in sight. I got lucky. That guy only hit my track. And I'm like, all right, well, hey, I'm going to use the building and kind of go on the other side a little bit. And then here I'm like, well, can I line stuff up? Sure can. I can take a shot. Got lucky. I was able to block it, partially because of my angling. Now, here's something I did that was kind of a bad choice. I see that this guy is continuously firing. He's still firing. I can see that dirt coming up. He's still firing. I shouldn't really continue to sit there to let him keep firing. But I am kind of being a prick in a way because I'm using that as to try to build up defense points. So here I'm just building up blocked damage. But it did cost me. He finally hit me. He did some damage. Had I been able to continue that, I mean, sure, yes, that would be great. I would actually be building up some more experience because they did make it to where the damage blocked is actually impacting your experience gains. So here I'm just watching. I know that he's there. I went back to where like the bush is at, so I'm again in cover. By the way, for those that are not aware, if you're fully in a bush, that gives you extra camouflage, right, to your camouflage rating. You get the same camouflage rating if you're behind the bush, but being in the bush, or I'm sorry, you don't get a boost to your camouflage rating from being behind the bush. It's just that they can't actually get line of sight on you. So you have your camouflage rating plus whether or not they have good... Oh, no. Actually, no, you do. You get the camo rating. It's just when you're in the bush, it's all around. So all around you. Now here I sat there and I was waiting, and I'm like, all right, look, my team... I have a lot of guns lined up here on my team. And I'm like, I also know that I was spotting as much as I can, and that they do not seem to be moving up or being able to see. So I'm like, you know what? I have those binocs. Let me move up. There is a defensive spot. So you see I'm using a carcass of an enemy or a friendly. I don't really remember which one it was. I'm pretty sure it's enemy. So I'm using this carcass to block, right? So I'm saying, okay, one, if they try shooting me, most of that is not going to help them. For those that can shoot at me, I have proper angling on my armor. So it'll probably end up being that no, they can't penetrate me. Hopefully, right? Now this is saying, not saying that they can't, because I already know some of them could, but it's to say, hey, I'm just going to try to keep it limited to how many people can really try to penetrate me and hit me, and then here we are, same thing. I'm like, yep, time to move up. And again, like I said, patience is key. So I didn't go crazy. I didn't go all the way up there with that other guy. I said, yeah, I'll just totally do it. Rather, I was like, hey, that guy's already moved up. You know what? I'll try to do some support here. I actually lined up and I'm like, oh, look, there's a guy out in the open right there. That's a gun gone, right? In one shot. Like, all right, well, hey, here's the other one. They kind of hurt him. We can technically knock him out with one more shot. But we lost sight. The one guy that was spotting decided, yep, you know what? I don't like my team. I don't know what you're doing, but I don't like it. And he left. So, okay. All right, no problem. Well, here's a low health tank destroyer, right? Up in the bush. That's not ideal. I don't want him to be up here. I don't want him to be in that bush. He's low health. He gets spotted. He gets shot. We lost a gun. I have more health than him. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to come up here. Hopefully he knows to stay there, right? I know that there's that guy that I spotted earlier. And bam. So here goes. He shot at me. There's that guy. Alright, he hit me. Yeah, I'm probably going to take a little bit of beating here. I'm hoping I get some assistance from my team. You see, I moved a little bit. Alright, I got him. And then bam, obviously this other tank destroyer, another guy. Now sadly, this tank destroyer did do some good damage. I got really lucky being able to lock and snap fire on him to actually kill him. Because had he gotten another shot, I would have definitely been dead. So now here's a case where, okay, now I'm no longer at this big health point. But I'm in a position now I can try to help. My team is actually winning. And by the way, look how effectively my team is winning, right? We are actually at a 25% lead on them. We're at 12-8. We only need 3 kills. They need, what am I doing wrong here? 7. Yeah. We need 3, they need 7, right? But boom, bam, I got spotted. Alright, well, there's a tank destroyer still hiding back there. Didn't expect that. That was my bad. I should have played it a little more safe. And as I mentioned, like little bit by little bit, but I went ahead and charged. Now here, there's all this, like, all these guys could have crossfired, and you can see that they're shooting, but they're just missing, right? But we still got all these guys set up. Now here's a case where these judgments, these calls, these ideas, the principles, the practices that I'm talking about can really make a difference. So you'll see here in this corner, I'm watching this guy. He's our light. He actually has 100% health. He's not only that, but he's actually like a scout. He's tier 4. He actually has really good eyes. But he's going to hide in this bush where he has no angle to view the enemy where he was. So he won't ever spot that guy unless that guy moves forward. And that guy is not going to. Right? He already made it apparent. If he's all the way back there, he is not going to move. He's going to sit there. He wants them to come. He wants someone to get out in the line of sight so that he can shoot them. So I'm actually trying to communicate to this guy, and I'm telling him, like, hey, sitting there isn't really going to do you any good. You even have my body there. You can actually use it to try to get this guy spotted real quick. But we also know that he's in that corner. Now, what this guy was doing, I don't know. It doesn't look like he was really paying attention. I would have much rather him have done it when those tank destroyers were paying attention. But now we have the case of, well, you know, he wasn't really doing anything. We're not really sure what he's doing. So then the tank destroyers could have changed sight. Right? They might be looking somewhere else. And all in the meantime, just because of this, one, I died, now another guy died, right? And another one died. So now what was a 7-3 lead, we are now sitting at 4-3. Not ideal. Now, here's another call this guy makes. By the way, if you open fire, you will make yourself a much more visible target than if you don't open fire. That's a principle to scouting right out the door, and actually it's something to note all the time. If you're not seen in a bush, that's great. But if you open fire, you're automatically going to run risk of being spotted just because your camo rating is going to drop significantly when you fire your gun. Now, if those people are outside of your line of sight or people are outside of viewing range, it really doesn't matter how much you fire your gun at that case. But again, if they are in range and you fire your gun, it will drop your camo rating. And it also depends on the gun you're using. The bigger the gun, the bigger the drop or impact on your camo rating. So small guns don't drop your rating as much. That is why certain tanks, if they're small with high camo, and they have good enough distance away from the enemy, they can actually fire without ever being seen. Right? It's just because when they fired, you won't see it. Now in this case, what he's doing, there's no freaking way. Every time he fires, I guarantee he's being spotted. And here's another call or judgment on his end. So one, he shot at this guy. This guy eventually tried shooting back, and that's what made it to where he was able to spot. Same principle. Because he fired, the other guy fired. because once he was spotted, the other guy was spotted. Now, he should have just ran up on the guy when he was 100%, and that would have caused a lot of confusion for that guy because this tank has a lot more mobility than that tank destroyer. But the other problem here is that after doing this, the enemy across the field, all the way on the other side, was shooting him in the back, and is still trying to shoot him. That was another shot at him. He should have never pushed up here with the crossfire set up. When the enemy showed that they knew where he was and how to shoot at him, he should have went the other direction. He should have actually gone to assist his team to go stop the guy who was crossfiring and let this guy sit in this corner that he's not really doing much or being able to really help. But in the event that he wanted to take care of that guy, he should have just rushed the guy, right? Those tank destroyers were in position to help him. Now, sadly, because of his choices, because of what he did, he's gonna we lose this fight. So, the gist of the story here, as you guys are starting out, and again, this was all just a goal of explaining the actual play style, right? What performs well when you start out. Just be patient. Try to work with your team. Let your team find things. Try to shoot things. And in the event that your team is not going to win, just do what you can to get what experience you can. Again, I hope this helps. I am making other specific videos. I will go back through to all my videos and link the other videos that are supportive to this so that you guys can see that. So please look forward to having videos specific to the type of tank you're playing. Again, I am Shrine King. Thank you for watching.